there is a supernatural world, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear lots of these stories and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Today's guest is Suzanne. I think you'll find her story absolutely incredible, right? The world for your soul. That's exactly what we're looking at. We'll get into that and so much more after a word from our trusted sponsor, Noble Gold. You know, now with inflation at 8.5% and possibly higher in the near future, don't you think you need to be smart with your money? You need it to grow, not to shrink. You need financial freedom, not debt. Folks, start with a gold IRA with Noble Gold now, and you'll be safe. This month, for every cash deal above $20,000, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin, completely free as a thank you. You know, you can't go wrong with Noble Gold, and I'm not telling you to do anything that I'm not doing myself. When I get back to California, I am going to invest some of our money in Noble Gold. Gonna do it, because look what's going on. We are trillions of dollars in debt. We're talking about the Great Reset and all this other stuff, entering a bear market in the stock exchange. Folks, check it out, noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com, 877-646-5347. That's once again, 877-646-5347. Call now, folks, and find out more by going to noblegoldinvestments.com. Suzanne had an amazing experience. In case you're wondering, that sometimes people with, who are mediocre at best as far as their talent, I'm not going to mention any names, but they rise to the top. Somehow they just rise to the top. How is that done? We know from Scripture that Jesus was tempted, and I'll get into that on the other side after Suzanne's done her testimony. But she actually had several experiences throughout her lifetime. We started off with this one because this is, in my opinion, just incredible. And it sort of solidifies what I've expected for years. I've heard the same type of offer, as it were, from other folks in the industry. So I think you'll find her testimony riveting and extremely revealing. So here's the deal. It amazes all of us that some people make it in Hollywood or make it in the music industry. And oftentimes there's people with so much more talent, but they're just sort of cast to the wayside. I mean, I remember chasing the rock and roll carrot here in Los Angeles. And I was in many different recording studios. I had producers. We had, I'm going to boast here. We were in the Fleetwood Mac room at Village Recorders recording. So, I mean, that's pretty much up there. And we were with a mainstream producer and, and what we had sounded really good. And all of it, we got right up to the end. And the whole deal just fell through, and that was the end of it. That happened 3 or 4 times with us, with different labels. And looking back at it, it was the Lord saying, you're not going there. I've got something else for you. You don't see that yet, but I've got something else for you. Suzanne, okay. Tell us what happened. Thank you.
Yes. So I was in drama, and I had been in a couple of the small movies. And there were a couple of people that were kind of in this with me. And I'm not going to mention their names.
No, right.
But when I went home for a weekend, I was in my bedroom, and I was laying on the bed, kind of just, thinking. And I had the experience where my hair flew and I landed on the bed in the same space that I was at. And I was like, well, that's really odd. And then I heard my voice, Suzanne. Someone was calling my voice in my own bedroom. And I turn around, and there was the most handsome man I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mm.
And he had a briefcase. And he said to me, he said, I can make you beautiful forever. You'll look young for a long time. And I can make you famous. You know what I want. And I was just horrified because I was like, well, this isn't necessarily Satan, but this is someone working for Satan. And my heart, I was like, I want God. But however, some force was moving my mouth and my lips to say yes, like that. It was like I could not control my own body. It was making my body say something in my heart I didn't want. And so I remember as my mouth was starting to say this, I went, God, help me. And God flew me out and I landed on the bed in the same position I was in again. And I remember crying and crying. Now, I don't know if the other people I was with had a similar experience. All I can speak for is my experience. However, all three of them did become famous, and they are famous today. You know,
If you said their names, we would all go, yes, we
would all know them. Yes, yes. So that's been interesting. And then later, after a year later, I had a boyfriend break up with me, and I was kind of down and depressed. And I was actually on an internship, and I was in the home alone where I was staying. And I had the same kind of experience. I was on the couch, just like, oh, I feel so sorry for a little pity party. Oh, I'm so sorry for myself. And I landed in the bed, on the couch again, and I opened my eyes, and there was an imp sitting on this chair, and he was just smiling like this, and he didn't say anything, but I knew I was getting the same offer again, that I could have the beauty and the whole thing. And I just went, God, you helped me before, help me again. And I flew and landed back on the couch again. So I know that I've talked about, there's more people that admit that they have accepted and signed on the dotted line for their fame and their fortune. And unfortunately, I think that is a very real situation for a lot of people in Hollywood, politics, sports. And I think it's really sad. And I hope that we all remember who's most important for us. And if you find yourself in that situation, remember that God can, even if you find your mouth being moved, remember God can help you. Just turn to God, put all your focus on him.
And let me just say something, because I know people, that's preposterous. Really? So once again, let's go to the guidebook of the supernatural. We'll go to our Bibles, right? And we know that Jesus is fasting for, what is it, 30, 40 days out in the desert by himself. And what does the enemy do? The dragon, Satan, appears to him, takes him to a high place and shows him in a moment of time, and I believe it's literal, because he can do that, all the kingdoms of the world, and then offers those kingdoms to Jesus. Jesus goes, no, thank you. It's the same deal. It's the same deal. It's slightly changed. Metis gets modified. They can appear as whatever they want to appear as. So, the guy in your room, I don't know who he was, the most handsome man in the world, just sign here. You can have whatever you want. It's the same thing. And this is what's amazing about stories like this, because what it does is it brings the supernatural confrontation right to people. So folks, if you've got an encounter like this, please email me, supernatural@lamarzulli.net, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Suzanne, I'll give you the last word. Thanks so much for coming on the record. Powerful testimony. Please.
Well, I would just say that I hope that this helps everyone remember that God is God, and that we should put our faith in Yeshua, not in ourselves. Nobody is unique. My story is not about me. It's about all of us. And we all have to keep our focus on him. So That's all. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much. Hold on. So before you say, Ellie, that's really far out, just think about what the Bible tells us. So Jesus is fasting for 40 days. We know that because that's basically in all the Gospels. He's taken out, he's fasting for 40 days, and guess who appears to him? Surprise, surprise, the dragon, Satan himself. And the first temptation is, just turn these stones to bread and you know, satisfy yourself. Lord doesn't do it. And he fights back by saying and quoting scripture. You know, man does not live by bread alone. So then, and this scripture is so pregnant with meaning, I could spend a lot of time on this. But for the sake of the show and to keep it under 20 minutes, I'll go quickly. So the dragon then takes him in an instant to some high place and shows him all the kingdoms of the world in an instant, just like that. How is that done? How does he transport Jesus from the desert location to a high place and then, in a moment of time, show him all the kingdoms of the world? Is that just metaphor or is it real? It's real. Because I believe that Jesus was taken, he accepted that, he allowed it to happen, he could have stopped it, but he allowed it to happen, and then the dragon, Satan, offers all the kingdoms of the world if you will just bow down and worship him. It's all about worship. It's always about worship. Always. Or you give your soul for the kingdoms of the world. And that's exactly what Suzanne was offered. You know, all you have to do is just sign right here, sign this little contract, just say yes, and it all can be yours. Eternal beauty, fame, fortune. Have you ever wondered some of these superstars that we see performing at the halftime have absolutely zero talent, in my opinion, that they're at best mediocre, and yet they rise to the top, and they have everything that the world would offer. But what are we told? We're told that, you know, if you love the world, you can't possibly be in the kingdom. So I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. And the Lord has blessed our socks off. And we fight and continue to fight for the King and the kingdom. That's going to come at some point. Thanks so much for watching Supernatural Confrontations. If you had an experience, shoot me an email, supernatural@lamarzulli.net, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Remember, folks, there is a supernatural world, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. Thanks so much for watching.